healing through the indigenous art of storytelling. There is a traditional story, a generational story, spoken to me by my Chippewa mother that tells of the legend of the Lady Slipper. One winter season, a sickness, a virus comes into a village, and a young girl named Wayane sees everyone falling around her, and so she decides that she will make that journey to the medicine woman's village, a journey never attempted before in winter. She slipped out of her family's wigwam, dressed in the fur-lined moccasins that her mother and grandmother had sewn for her. And when she reached the neighboring village, she sought the medicine woman's help. And with her medicine gift, she made her way back across the snow. But it was too deep, and she began to sink with each step. When she finally reached the opposite shore, her moccasins were missing, and her feet were bare and cold, and her footprints marked by blood. When her villagers heard her cry, they ran to her, and they carried her home. The medicine she brought saved her people. In the following springs, she went back in search of her moccasins. Instead, she found beautiful pink, white, and yellow flowers shaped just like her moccasins. There was one for every drop of blood that had fallen from her feet on her journey to bring medicine home. The Ojibwe people named the flower after Wayane and her moccasins, the moccasin wabigwan. The moccasin wabigwan is a delicate and mighty wildflower that grows on the mountainsides of the Anishinaabe people, my mother's people. This most rare and precious flower of the north is equal in strength and in frailty. You pick any part of the moccasin wabigwan and the whole plant will die. Yet it will only grow from the harshest and most unsuitable soils imaginable. So how can a flower be both delicate and strong? This question has long rattled inside my mind. Miache, Anin, hello. Naneto Sophia Madrigal, and I am an enrolled member of the Kuya Band of Indians on my father's side and am Anishinaabe, Turtle Mountain Chippewa on my mother's. Growing up, I was taught stories are medicine, culture is strength, women are leaders, and we have a responsibility to our ancestors. Our ancestors survived a great deal for us to be here, and with them our stories. Yet our stories are being forgotten, and with them our identity. This matters because if the narrative that is being told is one that begins with Columbus or colonization and ends with the Indian termination policy, you will get a very different perspective than if you begin with our creation stories and you end with our activism. Indigenous stories teach us that women are sacred beings. Aki, the earth is sacred. Nimisin, my older sister, is sacred. Ninga, my mother, is sacred. Ajimo, she who tells a story, is sacred. I am one of 24 Kuya grandchildren, most of whom are girls. As an Indigenous girl, I know all too well that metaphorically and physically we are being taken. I have grown up in communities where women go missing and are murdered at rates 10 times the national average. And of this, 95% of these cases go undocumented by national news media. Indigenous people from across the globe and their wisdom that honors women is being erased. Their voices silenced and their stories untold. It is my responsibility to receive, preserve, and promote these stories, because without them, we are lost. Like Wayane, I started my journey by digging down to the roots of my heritage, seeking the mashkiki, the healing medicine for my people. Ancestral stories are timeless entities which hold powerful archetypes which can help us heal and find our way through unimaginable atrocities. Ancestral stories and storytelling is the core of ancestral wisdom, and it is a traditional form of healing. When I began this journey, I thought I was seeking healing for my people. What I didn't know was that I was bringing healing to myself. At the start of my journey to revitalize artist healing and at the beginning of the global quarantine pandemic, my father died. Suddenly and unexpectedly, and I found myself in an unimaginable need of healing. My father, a cultural carrier, was integral in restoring the kuya bird songs for his people. And his sudden departure from this earth handed to me the responsibility as the next generation to continue his legacy of cultural revitalization as healing. My father told me that the greatest loss in life is not loss itself, but who you forget when trying to erase who you truly are. I founded the Luke Madrigal Indigenous Storytelling Nonprofit, a tribute to my father. To quote Leslie Mormon Silko, "You don't have anything if you don't have stories." Survival is contingent on its ability to keep telling the story, to keep up the circulation of narration and words that make up the past, the present, and the future of Native American culture. In my life, partaking in storytelling has allowed me to see young Indigenous girls' artistic expression come together in strength against adversity. In this way, I've seen the ill effects of colonization overcome by strengthening cultural identity through story and giving young Indigenous girls a voice in order to heal soul wounds. And I saw myself strengthening through art. Wildflower Indigenous Spirit is a play that I wrote that grew from this traditional story of the Moccasin Wabigwan. It walks the landscape of grief and loss and offers hope to anyone who's ever lost someone. And it is a love letter to my father. The following poem is an excerpt from this play that I wrote. I have a secret that your mind now needs to know. I never left you, and I watch over you as you grow. I am the whispers you hear in the wind, and I am the weathered lines in all the moments you have grinned. When your eyelids flutter and see slumber gone, I am the nudge that sends you galloping towards the dawn. I am the earth that molds your feet in play, and I am a reflection of all the things you say. Do not think I have left you, for it is life's greatest disguise. I smile upon you in each new sunrise. Experiencing my own story's healing power further inspired me and informed my vision as I continue to see more loss and suffering around me due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as natives were being disproportionately affected. But again, storytelling was able to bring community members together to connect by exploring traditional and personal stories for strength against pandemic loss. Sharing the arts as the community, that is the power of story. This is when I finally understood that being an Indigenous girl does not make you weak. It is the very thing that makes you strong. The most authentic thing about us is our capacity to create, to overcome, to endure, to love, to transform, and to be greater than our suffering. Ben Okiri. In many ways, the most important thing that I can bring to my community as an Indigenous girl is my voice, and I can do that through storytelling. This is when I finally understood the Chippewa legend of the Moccasin Wabigwan, of how it could grow from such harsh circumstances but stand with beauty. All of us need to remember who we are and the great capacity we hold and reach the understanding that nothing is ever truly lost. We are the Moccasin Wabigwan. Know your stories. Miigwech, Achema. Thank you.